You make me to visit Israel.
Of course. How you doing?
Fine. How are you?
Very good, thank you for asking. Are you German? Because you look like you're from an Arab country.
I live now in Germany, but I'm originally from Kurdistan.
Kurdistan! I've never been. Can Israelis go to Kurdistan?
Of course, why not? Look, Kurdistan is not actually a country as other countries. The people there are very kindful, and you won't have a problem to go there.
And can I ask you, what do you think will happen to you once you come to Israel?
Some askings about my name, and not too much.
Do you think you're gonna get discriminated against in Israel?
No, that would be... It's not good for Israel to do something like this.
Do you think Israel is not doing it because it doesn't look good, or you think they don't do it because it's actually a democratic country that cares about all...
This question is difficult.
But difficult questions are meant for us to find difficult answers, you know?
Yes, I like difficult questions. So, Israel and base is a democratic country, but they has, like other countries, also some kind of government. Like here in Germany, we have the right wing, yes?
Okay.
They are radical, and that doesn't represent Germany. So I would think in Israel also they have right-wing government.
Of course, just like in every government. This current government right now, I wouldn't consider it radical, because if it would have been a radical government, Gaza would have been wiped off the map a long time ago. That's why they're not radical. If they would have been radical, the death toll would have been a lot higher. They wouldn't spare as many lives as they are today.
Look, do you know what the ICC is?
Yes, I know about the ICC. I really don't think it's a credible court of law. I'm going to be honest with you.
So I'm not a politician, I'm not a lawyer, but they said that the head of Israel, I don't know his name.
Is a war criminal and should be arrested.
Yes, they said that.
They were also issuing the same arrest warrants to the heads of Hamas, which
Yes.
to me is absurd, because the people who started this were Hamas, and they did horrific things to our people. It doesn't mean you should equate. He is currently managing an extremely difficult war. I don't think he should be considered a war criminal, because the amount of effort that the Israeli government is taking in ensuring that the civilian casualty number is minimized is unbelievable. They released 7.5 million text messages by phones to tell them to evacuate. They also called 500,000 times to people from Gaza to tell them to evacuate. They also released a bunch of
So
pamphlets.
what is this of mindset? Hey, guys, go from your home away because I want to bomb your home.
Let's say we wouldn't have done that. What do you think the death toll would be in Gaza?
Much higher, of course, but this mindset is also not the better mindset.
You're required to do it according to international law. When you have 40,000 people that are dead, by the way, a lot of them are Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
When you have so many people that are considered casualties, what matters the most is intent. Meaning, I'm going to give you an example. If I try to bomb Hamas infrastructure, and when that building collapses, residue from the building flies on somebody else and kills him, is it considered murder? Or is it considered a war casualty?
The second one.
The second one. People are saying that 40,000 people were murdered by the Israeli army, which is not correct, because the intent matters.
I'm living here in Germany now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to school here and learn about the history. The first thing I learned is about the World War II. There was a false flag war. Hitler sent his troops to Poland, and these troops shoot at Germany, and then Hitler said, I want now to attack Poland because they attacked me. But that's not the truth. The truth is
that logic doesn't work here.
So I don't know if it's true or not, but some here says it might be like the same in Israel. The first, 7 October, and the second yesterday or the day before. So as the rockets hit 12 kids. So what do you think about that? Why Mossad is the best, is better than the CIA? So if you have this experience, so you would know if Hamas will attack you or not.
You know how many scenarios we've had from Gaza where they thought that an attack was coming and they prepared for it, but then they didn't do anything, so they kept... It's just like the boy crying wolf. They say wolf, 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 and then they're like, okay, they keep doing it all the time, so we're just going to drop this one. So they dropped this one, and look what happened. Sometimes the intelligence misses, you know? They're not perfect people. Yes, they are good, but sometimes they miss.
Yes. Okay, that's a point for you.
The example you gave with Germany and Poland is invalid, because Israel actually left Gaza in 2005 completely. They withdrew 9,000 civilians from Gaza. And there's photos, you see literally Jewish civilians crying to stay, and they're getting carried out of their homes by the Israeli army. Why did they do it? They wanted to get peace between the Gazans and the Israelis. So they left in 2005. They also left a bunch of greenhouses and a bunch of great infrastructure for their economy. 2006, Hamas was elected. Still, not a single blockade was placed. 2007, Hamas was fully in power. Egypt put a blockade. They did not want to associate with Hamas. And Israel put a blockade because they started firing rockets in 2007. Why would they start firing rockets if there was literally not a single blockade placed?
I don't know, but I can imagine that they think that is our home, that's the home of the Palestinians, so why should Jewish people live there?
But they just got it. They got it back.
They think all of Israel belong to them.
Before 1948, we had Jews, we had Muslims, and we had Christians living here, right?
Yes.
Why all of a sudden this land belongs only to the Palestinian Arabs?
So Palestinians Arab doesn't mean just Muslims. They're also Jewish and also Christian.
Yeah, when you say Palestinian, you're talking about the Palestinians before 1948 that lived here, right? The Jews, the Christians, and the Muslims.
Yes.
So why all of a sudden the Palestinians are only considered the people in the West Bank and in Gaza, and no longer the Jews that stayed in Israel?
I don't know.
That's another question you have to ask yourself. The Palestinian identity was only adopted in 1964 to actually oppose Zionism. Until 1964, they actually considered themselves Bilad Shamis, South Syrians, not Palestinians. The term Palestinian was a Zionist invention to them. And I'm going to read you one small section that an Arab historian said. The land called Palestine, the name Palestine that Arabs today use for Palestine is not an Arabic name, but adopted and adapted from the Latin Palestina. How can an Arab people have a Western name instead of one in their own language? Because the use of the term Palestinian for an Arab group is only a modern political creation without any historic or ethnic grounds, and did not indicate any people before 1964. An Arab writer and journalist declared, "There has never been a land known as Palestine governed by Palestinians. Palestinians are Arabs, indistinguishable from Jordanians, Syrians, Iraqis, and keep in mind that the Arabs control 99.9% of the Middle East. Israel represents 1/10 of 1% of the land mass. But that's too much for the Arabs. They want it all. And that is ultimately what the fighting in Israel is about today. No matter how many land concessions the Israelis will make, it will never be enough." And the person that said that was Joseph Farah, The Myths of the Middle East, wrote a book about it.
Yes. I don't heard about this theory. It's likely truth, I think. But let me tell you a story.
Please.
I'm from Kurdistan, yes?
Okay.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you say that?
Yeah, you did.
Yes. So we are also surrounded by enemies.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have our own country like Israel.
There's a lot of Kurdish people in Iraq, in Iran, right?
Yes. 4 countries. Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran. They all hate us. Why? Because we want our country back. So I can imagine you as an Israeli, you also has the same fear, the same experience, and the same situation to the Arabs. So I can fully understand your perspective about that.
It's not that the Arabs want to take their land back. You have to look at it from a different perspective.
Yes,
where
that's
the Jews
worse.
Where the Jews want to take their land back, because the Jews, whether you like it or not, have had a continuous presence on the land for 3,000 years. The majority of them lived in Jerusalem. The majority of them lived in Hebron. The majority of them lived in Tzfat. And the
That's
majority,
the historic place of them. Yes, of course.
yeah, they had a continuous presence, even though they were being targeted and there was a lot of violence against them. Go and look at the Crusades that came to Israel, to Jerusalem, and tried to eradicate every single person that was here. The Jews still remain strong because they did not want to leave Jerusalem. So don't look at it from the Arabs wanting to take their land back. Look at it from the Jews wanting to keep their land and share their land, because there was never a problem sharing the land. And you can see it. Israel has offered land back many times. 6 times, to be honest. Yet every single time is refused by the Arabs. Why? It has to do with the fact that we are Jews living on a land that they wanted to turn into Syria. And if this place is called Israel, it cannot be Syria.
Yes, that's a problem.
But I'm glad you're understanding. You're intelligent. And that's kind of refreshing, because I'm talking to a lot of people saying, no, you're lying. And I'm not lying. I just read a lot and I care about the topic.
In the world, you don't have one truth. It comes about perspective. So in which perspective you see the thing, you have another truth.
First of all, there is one truth of history. For example, if you question the fact, did the Arabs attack the Israelis in 1948, or did the Israelis attack the Arabs in 1948?
Yes, I don't mean that truth. The truth, I mean, of course, you have the absolutely truth for the objective truth.
Yes.
But if you living in Syria, you never think about that Israel is a good country and let them live there and just freedom.
Exactly. I know a lot of people have been fed a lot of misinformation about the country, about Israel, and that's what I try to do here. I try to talk to people about the topic. I try to educate them about the topic in a respectful manner. I'm not trying to raise my voice. I know that
You're very respectful.
Yeah, thank you.
Respect.
You're also very respectful, and I like it. But I know that some Israelis are going to be very rude, and a lot of them speak from the perspective of being really, really hated in the world, because it's, before you there was a different person that was raising the Nazi flag and doing Heil Hitler. So it really changes from one person to another. So unless we can converse about the topic and really educate ourselves about the topic, there's no way forward. We can't move forward at all,
Definitely. So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are you fine with the government now?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that after this war is over, I think the government should be changed. I just don't think a leader should be a leader for that long. This is a democracy, and yes, the majority did elect Bibi. But I do think that there should be some sort of refreshment in the government of Israel. However, am I okay with what the government is doing in Gaza? There's 2 terms for the war to end. Do you know what they are?
No.
The first term is to return the hostages, 120 of them. The majority of them are probably dead, which is very unfortunate. And the second term is to get Hamas to surrender. That's it. These are the only 2 terms to stop the war. As long as these 2 terms are met, the war could be over in a second.
So here's my question. The Israeli government are supported by many European countries and also the USA.
Right.
But in October, the USA government will change, maybe from Biden to Trump or Kamala Harris.
I really hope it's going to be Trump.
So, but Trump said in front of Netanyahu, I will not support you as Biden support you. Maybe when Trump be the president, he will say publicly, hey, Israel, stop with that. It's a crime. Will the government stop there or just continue as they are doing?
Even if America says that what Bibi Netanyahu or what Israel is doing is a crime, it doesn't make it a crime. They can say whatever they want. At the end of the day, on the ground, there's proof that Israel is doing whatever they can to minimize civilian casualties. And I talked to you about the numbers.
Yes.
And the numbers are ridiculous. They're really trying to do whatever they can to minimize as many civilian casualties as possible. By text messages, by phone calls, and by pamphlets. As long as Israel is maintaining their direct intent to warn as many civilians as possible before they bomb Hamas infrastructure that could potentially lead to harming civilians, Israel is in the clear, because that's what's required according to international law. As long as all measures are taken to warn civilians that have nothing to do with this to leave and save themselves from bombs and from explosives or whatever, then Israel is in the clear.
Where they should go?
Israel actually created safe zones. Israel actually created safe zones. If I remember correctly, the only safe zone that was attacked since the beginning of the conflict was when they tried to kill Muhammad Def, and they succeeded. They killed the biggest leader of Hamas, I believe 2 weeks ago. So that was the only time where the safe zone was compromised, not for the sake of killing civilians, it was for the sake of killing a really, really highly targeted Hamas leader that, by the way, Israel tried to kill 7 times and failed every single time. If you support Hamas after what they've done to our people, you don't actually care about the Palestinians, because Hamas is going to keep doing this thing, and they said it over and over again. October 7th will happen next year, and the year after, and the year after. So if you support Hamas, you support the killing of Jews. Period. If you don't support Hamas, then we can talk about something.
Hamas is terrible.
Hamas is terrible. Yeah, they're terrible. They should be eliminated. And then maybe we can find a new leadership for the Palestinians that are not going to make their life a living hell in Gaza.
How about the theory, I heard about it, the theory that Hamas was created by the Israelis?
So Hamas was created by the Israelis. That you're not wrong about this. But it was created as a good thing. And it actually backfired after the Oslo Accords. The Oslo Accords, which actually gave legitimacy to some portions of the West Bank and Gaza, and to give some autonomy to the Palestinian Authority, Hamas refused. So they got radicalized and they started doing terror attacks, the intifadas, and these things. So Hamas was created as a good thing, but it actually backfired on the Israelis.
Okay, so that's the truth. But in the later term, they just...
Yes, but to say that Israel created Hamas, that Israel created an organization that wanted to eliminate them, is absurd. That wasn't the intention. The Brits also appointed Amin al-Husseini to rule the Muslim people here after all the atrocities they did against the Jews. They wanted to appoint a Muslim leader, a mufti, to make sure that the balance is kept. Guess what happened? Amin al-Husseini actually hated the Jews more than anyone, so he forced more attacks on the Jews. He forced a bunch of things against the Jews because they appointed the wrong guy. Again, a good intent that backfired on the Brits.
Yes.
That's all.
What's the solution for the Middle East? Not just Israel and Gaza. If you serve Israel and Gaza, there will be also attack from Hezbollah or attack from Iran, from the Yemen.
What's going to happen if Iran is going to drop its arms, Lebanon is going to drop its arms, Jordan is going to drop its arms, Egypt is going to drop its arms, Gaza and the West Bank are going to do the same thing, and they're going to say, no more. We are not fighting with the Israelis anymore. What do you think is going to happen?
So, an Arab guy from Syria or the Arab guy from Yemen would say Israel will attack all the western coastline to the Mediterranean Sea. So they can control all of these to the Suez Canal.
Yeah, but in order for you to prove that, you have to refer to history. When in history has Israel started a war against the Arabs?
No.
None. What can you understand from that?
No, look. I don't will say that, but the Arab will say the Israel provoked the Arabs, so the Arab attacked them.
How did they provocate them?
So on Eid, the Muslims has 2 Eids after Ramadan. Before the 7th October, I saw on the television they attacked the mosque. Not attacked, but they run with soldiers in the mosque.
The Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem?
Yes.
Can I ask you what channel you're watching?
I watch German channel. I also watch Arabic channels.
Which ones?
Al-Arabiya.
Okay, do you watch Al Jazeera?
Not too much.
Don't watch
But
Al Jazeera.
also-
Al Jazeera is the biggest misinformation of all of the media channels.
German channel just said there was a terror act or there were terrorists there. So because of that, they attacked the mosque in Mosque Al-Aqsa. But in the Arabic channel, they said for no reason,
Exactly.
just because of they celebrating their festivals.
You have to understand where the money is coming from. Most Arab channels are funded by specific organizations that want you to receive this truth. And then when you talk to me, you say, you guys go and attack the Al-Aqsa Mosque on one of the holiest days for the Muslims, which is factually not correct. There is a curfew. There is a curfew for the mosque, meaning you can pray from 1 to 11, from 11 till 9 in the morning the next day. You're not allowed to be there. Why? To keep the peace. We all know that Ramadan is a pretty volatile time for Arabs and Jews in Israel. A lot of terror attacks happen in Ramadan, to be honest. I mean, every single Ramadan we have attacks. If you refuse to leave, even though there's a curfew, are you currently breaking the law?
Yes.
Am I allowed to come with my soldiers to get you out?
Yes,
Perfect.
but
So that's
kindfuler.
What was that?
With more kind.
How?
So-
If they throw stones at me, how can I come more kind? And they decide to stay as a principle. They don't want to leave.
Okay, my question now. It's true that the Palestinians who living in the Western Bank or also in Israel have not too much rights like the origin Israelis?
Are you talking about the Arabs in the West Bank?
Yes.
So the Arabs in the West Bank are not Israeli citizens. They are under the Palestinian Authority, just like the people in Gaza, who are controlled by Hamas. So of course they're not going to have the same rights. I mean, I can't vote in the West Bank. They can vote in Israel. Despite the fact that there has not been a single election in the West Bank for 20 years. You know why? Because what's going to happen if there's going to be elections in the West Bank?
An organization like Hamas?
Yeah. There's a massive support for Hamas in the West Bank. Massive support. 75% of the people vote for Hamas in the West Bank in recent polls. I think in April they did a poll. So
Okay, but the Arabs who living in Israel has the same rights?
as Israelis, of course. They can vote in the government. They can get elected to be a prime minister. They can become highly ranking officers in the army.
Despite they are Arabs.
Of course, yes. That's why we say that Israel is not an apartheid state, because you have Arab teachers teaching Jewish students. In no apartheid state, you'll have Arab doctors treating Jewish patients. It doesn't happen by no definition. But it happens in Israel. I can take you to any hospital in Israel. I can guarantee at least 25 Arab doctors. We're going to count together. At least 25 Arab doctors and professors and nurses and whatever you want. The moment you come to Israel, you'll be like, they were lying to me this whole time.
Look, I want to study here in Germany, so I can make a semester in another country. Maybe choose Israel.
Yalla, good. Come to Israel, and then you can be the ambassador of Israel, you know? You can go and say, listen, guys, they're lying to you. There's no apartheid in Israel, I'm telling you.
Also, I have a fear to be, how to say to you, to have experience like racist experience.
You're not gonna have any racist experience unless you're gonna go to the middle of the street and say "Itbach el Yahud," all Jews should die, and then people are gonna hate on you because you are wishing on
Of course.
you're wishing on the death of Jews. So of course you're gonna experience racism at that time. Probably gonna get arrested. So if you come in peace, nothing will happen. That's it. But if you come to stab, expect a blockade and a checkpoint to be placed in the West Bank because all the checkpoints were placed after the first Intifada.
Yes.
There's a bunch of Muslims here. There's a bunch of Jews here. A bunch of Christians here. You're gonna enjoy it. I'm telling you.
You make me to visit Israel.
Of course. I can also make you understand that you're also a Zionist.
That I am Zionist.
Of course. You want to see how? Do you believe that the Jews should have a place they can call home in Israel?
Yes, why not?
So that makes you a Zionist, because that's the definition of Zionism. Zionism, they call it a political movement, but Zionism is actually the right for the Jews, if you believe in the right for the Jews, to self-determine in their ancestral homeland. If you believe in that, then you're a Zionist. So you don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. You just have to believe in that right. Just like I believe in your right to have a country. So that makes me you can call it a Zionist because Zion is the second name for Jerusalem, but you can call it a Kurdish. I don't know how we have to come up with a term together, but
Okay, so everyone who says that I have a place which I call my home, so it's the same mindset like a Zionist.
yes, if you believe that the Native Americans can self-determine in the United States, in America, if you believe that the Amazirs in Morocco can self-determine in Morocco, if you believe that the Aboriginals in Australia can self-determine in Australia, then you are also required to believe that the Jews are allowed to self-determine in Judea, which is the former name of Palestine. Because Jews originate from here. I'm Jewish, I originate from Judea. You're Kurdish, you originate from Kurdistan. Or from a Kurdish region. So if that's your belief, you're a Zionist, yes. Were you able to learn anything from our conversation?
Yes, of course.
Perfect, I'm glad.
So I can travel to Israel without any fear. That's the first thing for me.
Of course, without any fear. And the first place you should go is Yafo. It's really close to the airport. You go to Yafo, you go eat a good shawarma. You know shawarma, right? You know what?
Yes, of course.
You go eat a good shawarma. You can go to the beach. You can go to the mosque if you want. You can go do whatever you want.
Yes.
Freely. You don't... Listen, inside Israel, there's no checkpoints. The only place in which you have checkpoints is between Israel and the West Bank. Okay?
I don't want to go to the West Bank.
Nobody wants to go to the West Bank. I'm glad I was able to assist you a little bit with the situation here.
Thank you. I can wish you the same. And it was for me to look in the inside of the people, what they think about their own. And so I have the primary resource.
Exactly. And always remember, Jews are always willing to share. The Arabs, on the other hand, in the West Bank and Gaza, are not willing to share. From the river to the sea, Palestine Arabiye. Not Israeli. Arabiye. I am not Arab. So what happens to me? What happens to my family? What happens to...
Back to the US.
I mean, my family's not from the US. My grandparents came from Tunisia. One grandma came from Lebanon. And one grandpa was actually born here.
So that doesn't make a sense.
No, I can't go to Lebanon. We don't have entry to Lebanon.
No, and not where you go. The idea of the Arabs, that doesn't make a sense.
Of course. So the only solution is to drop your weapons and say, we are done with the wars. Not a single Palestinian child, woman, man, grandpa is going to die. Drop your weapons, and that's it. Israel has no intention to invade anything. Israel is not looking to expand. It's looking for peace, to live in peace. That's it.
Yes.
Really nice talking to you, brother. Thank you.
So, nice conversation. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.